Judaism is solid. That's why Christians and Muslims, when they made up their religion, it's a man-made religion. The problem with those two religions, which are approximately 4 billion people in the world today, that when they wrote their books, remember, a human being actually wrote it. They cannot come and say, Judaism is for 1,300 years. Come and claim that it never happened. It's not valid. It's not really the word of God. The Jews never really received the Torah from God. They never came out of Egypt. You cannot deny such an event, just like you cannot deny September 11 or October 7 or the Holocaust.
Okay, so we're going to be responding to a podcast with Sahar of Sahar TV. If you haven't heard of his work, make sure to go check him out. That's Sahar TV. He's one of the most prominent pro-Israel content creators in the world. A great friend of mine, awesome guy, and he had one of the most well-known rabbis on social media, Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi, who was on some big podcasts recently. He spoke to Sneeko. He's definitely a rabbi that doesn't mince words. He's controversial. He's an interesting guy, nonetheless quite knowledgeable on Torah, Bible, Christianity, Islam, etc. And Sahar sat down virtually for an episode with him. So we're going to check it out. Make sure to subscribe, like the video, leave your comments. Follow me, Rafi the Realtor, for all of your real estate needs in the Miami and greater South Florida area. And you can support the work that I do via the Buy Me a Coffee link in the pinned comment or description. Let's get into it.
Don't be a murderer, don't be a thief, don't be an idol worshiper, eat animals only once they died first, obey the law of the land, and that's it. And you're a righteous Gentile. Now, let's talk a little bit about Islam. You asked me about some human errors in the Quran. In the Quran, which obviously they copy from the Torah, all the names, Ibrahim and Yusuf and Dawood. Dawood means David, and Yusuf means Yosef. Okay, so we know the point. And their father is Ishmael. It comes from our Torah. The angel that, according to their belief, gave the Quran to Muhammad, his name was Jibril, which means Gabriel. You understand? Gabriel. Okay, so it all comes from Judaism. They don't eat pork, because we don't eat pork. They don't charge interest from each other because they saw it in the Torah. Their women dress modest because they saw it in the Torah. They pray 5 times a day because they saw us praying on Yom Kippur, which is the holiest day of the year, 5 times. So everything they do, they copy from us. Then they add a lot of their nonsense later on. But in the beginning, as you can see, they actually try to imitate the Torah. Now, when you open the Quran, you have a lot of human errors. One of them, for instance, it describes a story of Pharaoh that is calling Haman, 2 wicked people that they took their names from Judaism. Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, Haman, which lived in Persia. And Pharaoh is calling Haman and say, Haman, I want you to build to me a huge tower, very tall, that I can go up all the way to the sky and tell the God of the Jews and fight him and all kinds of things. Very interesting story. Where did they get the idea of a big tower? It's from the Torah, the Babylonian tower. It's described in the Torah in the Parashat Noah, in the book of Genesis. And where did they get the name of Pharaoh? Also from the Torah, in the book of Exodus. Okay? And where did they get Haman? From Megillat Esther. It's a part of the Tanakh, the Jewish Bible. So they didn't know that Haman was born 900 years after the last Pharaoh died. There were a few pharaohs, first, the second. The last Pharaoh that described in the Torah that the Jews came out of Egypt, it was 900 years before Haman was born. Haman was in Persia, Pharaoh was in Egypt, completely 2 different places. And they took something from Judaism without knowing the backgrounds and the details and the dates and made up a story. And the story obviously is human error because Haman and Pharaoh could never meet. Maybe they met later in hell, but they definitely did not meet in this world. So here is an example of one mistake. Let me give you another mistake. According to the Quran, they also admire JC. They accept the Christianity, as the word of God, and they claim that JC is also the messenger of God. Now, if you watch my debate with a Christian professor, I leave no doubt whatsoever that the New Testament can never be the book of God. By Muslims saying that Christianity is also the book of God proves that they are also fake. Because if you prove that Christianity is not divine and it has a lot of human errors, and then there's another book that claims to be divine and praise the New Testament, that means it's also not the word of God, because God does not praise fake book who comes to him pretend that it's the book of God. However, listen to this. In the Quran, guess who is the uncle of JC? JC, I want to remind you, lived 2,000 years ago. He was a Jew. He died as a Jew. He never started Christianity. Christianity started between 70 and 300 years after his death. He had no intention to start a new religion. He had a group of people that he collected from the street. He was the rabbi, was teaching them. For instance, in the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 17 to 19, there is a quote from JC to his students, to all those who follow him. And he said, do not think I came to contradict the Torah. I did not try to contradict the Torah. Anyone who will contradict the Torah and will change one of the commandments of the Torah, even the smallest one, will be cursed by the kingdom of heaven. Therefore, I'm only explaining and fulfilling the Torah. No one is allowed to contradict the laws of the Torah. You have to respect the rabbis because they are sitting on a chair of Moses and they are in charge of teaching the Torah. So based on that, all Christians in the world must keep all the commandments of the Torah from day one until today, because their hero, their Messiah, their Son of God, or whatever you want to call it, commanded them that no one is allowed to contradict one of the commandments of God in the Torah. And as you know, Christians do not keep any of the commandments of the Torah. They eat pork, they don't observe the Sabbath, they don't put tefillin, nothing that we do, they do, right? So therefore, even according to the New Testament, you have to be a fully righteous Jew and keep all the commandments if you want to fulfill the words of your spiritual leader. What comes in a Quran, he's speaking about JC and his mother, Mary, Miriam, in Arabic, Maryam. And guess what? Who, according to the Torah, is the uncle of JC?
I know that specific one. It's Aaron, but it's not actually.
They actually made Moses and Aaron the uncles of JC, even though they live 1,300 years before JC was born. They got confused between two women that appear in Judaism as Miriam. Miriam, she was the prophet, she was the sister of Moses and Aaron. She lived 3,400 years ago. And they took Miriam, the mother of JC, who lived 2,000 years ago, Mary. So they took Mary and they took Miriam of the Torah and turned her into one person. As results of that, it's written in the Quran that Miriam, the daughter of Amram, which makes it very interesting, it leaves no doubt that they spoke about that Miriam, because they also write the daughter of Amram. And Amram was the father of Moses and Aaron and Miriam, right? So they actually got such a confused situation here that they took two women who have nothing to do with each other. One lived 1,400 years almost before the other, and they brought her in their story as one person. As results of that, Miriam, the mother of JC, she came pregnant, and everybody in our town asked her, what the shame you brought to us? How could you become pregnant if you have no husband around? And she said, no, don't kill my baby. This baby is going to be something special. And they say, Miriam, daughter of Amram. And you see that something like this can definitely not come from God. Because even a little Jewish kid in yeshiva, 6 years old, will not make such ridiculous mistakes. And they have more and more and more mistakes. I want you to know, since I had that debate with Sniko, there are Muslims in the world send me emails and a list of errors in the Quran. At one point, I stopped reading. After reading dozens of them, I say, you know what? Why would I even waste time on it? If you are interested, I'll send you the list.
Please.
And you won't believe. According to their own religion, such contradiction from one chapter to another. By the way, you should know that when you go in the world, everywhere in the world you go to Poland, Russia, Ukraine, Syria, Lebanon, Israel, United States, Europe, everywhere. You ask for the Torah, you have the same Torah.
Right.
304,805 letters, same stories, same genealogy, same everything. And the Torah was kept in the original form 3,300 years. You go to the New Testament and you go all over the world and ask how many different texts the New Testament had. The answer is more than 200,000 texts.
Wow.
How did it happen? Remember, it's almost 2,000 years old. We have printing only 500 years. For 1,500 years, people copied that manually with a feather. They dip it in the ink and they wrote the New Testament on a scroll, just like the Jews do until this moment with the Torah. So when you copy a book that has tens of thousands of words and hundreds of thousands of letters, obviously every human being will make some mistakes. We'll skip a word, we'll skip a letter, we'll change the order by mistake, we'll skip a line. Therefore, if I give you the original text and you copy it from 100,000 letters, you only made one mistake. Let's say you are a super genius and super careful. From 100,000 letters, you made one mistake. That's it. Everything else is original. Your brother copied also a copy, and he made also only one mistake. How many versions we already have? 3. You have the original one, which is mine. According to you, there is one difference in one letter somewhere in one of the chapters. And according to the version of your brother, there is one mistake in a different chapter.
Right.
Now, the son of your brother is copying it with one mistake. Your son copy it, one mistake. Everyone will go on the minimum, one mistake only. multiply by 1500 years, you have 200,000 different texts. If the New Testament would be the word of God, you would have to ask, where is the original copy? Nobody knows. So the original divine text of God is gone from the world. And as you know, in Judaism, if one letter is missing from the Torah is not holy. You can dump it in a suitcase and send it with shipping. If the Torah falls on the floor, all of us has to cry and to fast, and it's a very bad sign. The holy book of God fell on the floor, the entire community cries and fasts. It's a tragedy. But if one letter was missing there and it fell on the floor, nothing happened. Why? Just a piece of paper fell. Why? Because a divine book cannot be altered even by one letter. Once you take one letter out of the text, it's no longer divine.
The Muslims claim that their book is also not corrupted. There's only one version of the Quran. What would you say about this?
Hundreds of different versions of the Quran. You can Google it. Hundreds of different versions. Not only that, right after Muhammad died, Islam was divided to Sunnis and Shiites. They accept Ali, they don't accept Ali, and have many, many differences. Different ideology, different beliefs, different way of keeping the Muslim laws, completely different. And in the text itself, there are many, many different mistakes. For instance, Muhammad had every one of his wives already had the Quran in a different version in his lifetime. And not only that, it's very interesting because Muhammad himself, according to their book, did not know how to read. And he did not know how to write. He was completely ignorant. Why would God come after the last Jewish prophet Malachi, which was almost 2,200 years ago, and will wait 900 years with no prophecies in the world? Before that, there were prophets every few years. All the prophets that you see in the Tanakh, Jeremiah, Isaiah, Joel, Amos, is one after the other in a chronological order. Some of the prophets live in the same time. For instance, Nathan and Samuel is in the time of King David, 3,000 years ago. They live in the same generation. In the Knesset Agdolah, in the Knesset of Israel, 2,000 years ago, you had 3 prophets sitting with 120 rabbis that were sitting in a Knesset of the Jews. So you see that there are prophets back to back. All of a sudden, the second temple is destroyed, and God said to the Jews, after the destruction of the second temple, there will be no more prophecy. From now on, I will send messages through little kids and through people that are brain damaged. You understand? Shotim with that. I don't want to say the word retarded because people tell me it's offensive, but you know what I mean. So for 900 years, there's no prophets. There's so many holy Jewish people in the world, so many knowledgeable, righteous rabbis. None of them is to be a prophet. All of a sudden, God take a person from the nation of Ishmael, which the Torah say was Pere Adam. The Torah said that the children of Ishmael, he himself and all his children, are wild beasts. Why would God come and change his mind after 900 years that he said there's no more prophecy ever, and will take a non-Jew, complete ignorant, doesn't know how to read, doesn't know how to write, and all of a sudden will make him a prophet? It doesn't make any sense.
And also, has not prophesied a single thing. Prophet Muhammad, as they call him, has not prophesied a single thing in his lifetime. Absolutely. Which is another.
I say that in my Torah and Science field, there is not one prophecy in the Quran. You see, they copy some prophecies from our books. That doesn't count as their prophecy. You see, if you're the prophet and you wrote in a book of prophecy and I copy it to my book, I'm not the prophet, you are the one, right? So if they copy from Isaiah and Jeremiah and all these things, okay, that was already written before. But let's see one prophecy that they gave in the Quran, what will happen in 1,000 or 2,000 years later. Absolutely nothing.
Not only that, also
so
the
Meccan prophet when he never gave one prophecy.
The Meccan tribe in the Quran itself also calls Muhammad. He tells them that what he does is asatir al-awalin, which means he took the scriptures of the old people, of the Jews, and pretty much copied it. In the Quran, it's mentioned I think 11 or 12 times. Dr. Mordechai Kedal said that.
All right, folks. So this is very interesting, and I think you're going to see a reversal. Why do I say this? It's a spiritual feeling. It's a spiritual feeling, and I'm also seeing it. Although people love to talk about claims of Islam growing, I think the only reason it's growing is by virtue of high pregnancy, and then a portion of people that are converting who don't have a connection to their religion a lot of the time. I think 2 things are going to happen. Over the next some odd years, it could be 10 years, it could be 20 years. This is speculation, of course. I think Christianity is going to have a humongous growth spurt. And I think, funny enough, a good portion of people are going to convert to Judaism. They'll either convert or they're going to adopt Noahide laws, but they're definitely going to start to believe in Israel and Judaism as a religion, as the primary true religion. Um, and why do I think that? I think, I have a hard time with the idea of Messiah. I'm not sure what it really means. I'm not sure what it'll look like. I'm not even sure it's really a thing. But there is something very strange about the last couple of years. And I think with AI, where things are going, I don't know. I don't know if the idea of having jobs and being employed is ever going to be the same again. And it feels messianic in a way. It's very strange that these two things are coinciding. So let me know what you think about that, guys. Make sure to subscribe, like the video, leave your comments. Follow me at Rafi the Realtor for all of your real estate needs in Miami and the greater South Florida area. And you can support the channel via the Buy Me a Coffee link in the description or pinned comment. Until next time, peace.